Hey folks, I am back again with Ethan Forman of the Gloucester Times, talking all things Gloucester and really Cape Ann when it comes down to it. How you doing, Ethan?
I'm hanging in there. Had a little sick day on Monday.
Yeah, we heard, we
Uh,
heard.
but the miracle of our remote office is I can just be sick and watch all the meetings and still work from home.
Yeah, you still
Back
cranked
in
out
the
a lot
office
of
now.
quality articles this week. There's a lot happening. Now, all right, it's almost May, and May always is Greenhead season around here, especially, Essex and anywhere by the river. But what is Gloucester now thinking of to combat the issue?
Well, it's interesting because when you come up to Gloucester, and which a lot of people do, you get bit by a greenhead.
Mm,
On your boat on Squam, or cycling around. Do like to do a lot of cycling, and you stop and look out, and then whack. So Gloucester's Board of Health had a presentation for a resident, or a patrolman, Tom Quinn, and he brought in the Northeast Massachusetts Mosquito Control and Wetlands Management District. Did I say that right? Anyway, so they run a separate program. Gloucester's not part of that mosquito control spraying, but
mm.
a separate program to control greenheads, and which I would have thought, I would have thought that Gloucester's part of this, and it was in the 1970s and 80s.
Right.
This this endeavor, but for some reason, who knows, belt tightening, they're not sure.
Mm.
Gloucester got out of it, and now the Board of Health is proposing not to get into it because it's not a health issue per se. The greenheads don't really, they're nasty, they're a nuisance.
It's a nuisance, yeah.
That you get a big welt, you might have allergies to it, but you're not gonna die. It's not like spreading COVID. It's not spreading malaria. It's just a greenhead bite. So it's very interesting that it's come before the Board of Health. But they are proposing to join. Now I know Essex is part of this. Don't ask me the number of traps. I can't do it off my head. I know that Ipswich is part of this.
Yeah.
And they have 200 traps.
Right.
So the Board of Health is proposing to go to the Verga administration and go to City Council. I think the startup for this year will be about a little over $4,000, and it's not spraying.
Right.
They're not going to run a helicopter over the marshes. It's just they set out these boxes that have the kind of the silhouette of a grazing animal.
Really?
Trap.
Oh yeah, they have their little cow silhouettes. Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah.
It's just like they with the legs, and it's like, so the fly goes, oh, it's an animal, I'm gonna go under its belly and bite it, and then it goes into the hole and gets trapped.
Yeah.
And then inside the box, bolted shut, it's a chemical. It's only called a pesticide. I learned it's only called a pesticide because the flies die after a while being stuck in the box.
So it's an actual pesticide. Yeah. It's being committed.
It's
Pesticide's
like,
being committed, but it's not a pesticide.
it just attracts them. It's not dangerous. You breathe in the fumes. Nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And you smell it. It's a half-inch wafer stuck in a 4-foot box.
Oh, really?
So you don't smell anything. There's no smell. These boxes are set out on the marshes, and the flies get fooled, and they trap hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of greenheads. And the purpose isn't eradication. It's just lessening their prevalence, because you actually need their source of food.
Yeah. And it's fried clam season is pretty much here. And people, you like to sit in front of, Farnham's or Woodham's, and those greenheads can come in and they can ruin your day in a hurry. But you should mark the calendar date. The Essex Shipbuilding Museum and all that. The town of Essex has a celebration for the days when the greenheads actually go away.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll pass you info for that too. It's a fun one. And last year, I think it was actually a short season last year for greenheads.
They say they start coming out in June, and then I learned more about the greenhead than I ever want to know.
Yeah.
But they come out, and the females will lay their first egg, and then they get really hungry. They just come out of the ground. I'm really hungry, and then they go and they have to get a blood meal so they can produce their next broods. And they don't live. The greenheads don't live that long. They spend most of their time in some other larvae pupae stage. Emerge again next year.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you're right. It's like end of July to first week in August is really the prime swatting season.
I hear you.
I don't know. It makes sense to me that that Gloucester would get involved in this. They want to go out before the Conservation Commission to make sure they're not doing any work that would disrupt. And there are 20 boxes this year in the vicinity of Wingershik, like down the beach, and then around by Stone Pier.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's hopefully that's the plan. They have to go before the council. They get the council's blessing. But it might be this year. You might get less of a, I say a big bug zapper. They're saying a big bug zapper out the mark.
Yeah, no kidding. It's interesting because the locals, it's almost like when there's the first snowfall and people shout out about it, like, hey, I see the snowflakes, there's our first flurry. It's the same thing with the greenhead bite. When the first person, like, oh yeah, the greenheads are out, one person gets bit at the beach or they're out there fishing or clamming or something. Next thing you know, they're sticking around for a while.
Hey, we should run a contest, who gets the first bite.
Pick the date. Yeah, you got to pick the who gets bit first or pick the date. So, all right, cool. Thanks for that, Ethan. All right, some more big news coming. City Council, they're actually going to meet in person again soon.
Yeah, this is really interesting. I guess they haven't met in person since the pandemic, and the meetings have been happening remotely, and we're able to gather the news. People have been able to participate. In fact, it's been so successful, they have hundreds of people attending meetings.
Yeah.
Now, see, there's a difference here. In the past, you could watch a rebroadcast, or you could watch a live broadcast of the meeting, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how it worked. In a lot of towns would broadcast meetings. So a lot of people watched on cable, but they couldn't talk. And that's the miracle of Zoom. You go into the webinar, you become a participant. So normally they would have budget hearings, things would go before the council. Nobody was nobody was in the hall, and they don't know how many people are, watching on cable. I'm sure hundreds of thousands at 1622 Studios.
Of course.
But a lot of people do watch the meetings, but they don't have the ability to raise their hand.
Right.
Like this, the officials like this. So the irony is they've kept on meeting like this, and now they've come to the realization that it looks like the state is going to, at least the extension for the remote participation provisions are going to end July 15. And we don't know if that's going to happen, what the governor's going to do, but they're trying to get back in person. But the problem is that City Hall, the Kairos Auditorium, isn't set up for this. You need gear. I think Ryan Knowles was trying to explain, okay, so maybe I have the hardware, but I need other components. We need to run wires everywhere. And it's very complicated to run an in-person and hybrid meeting because you need a screen to show the person talking online to the audience, to the council. You need talking. And then you need to figure out how to mic everything because someone's at the microphone, they start speaking. So it's very technical, but they think the cost to do this is about $80,000 to $100,000. And then it would be ripped out because they're going to redo City Hall for wiring and fire suppression in a year or two. Now, there's a lot going on in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Redo the Y into senior housing. They're going to do the library, hoping to move forward with the library project.
Yeah.
And I don't think the mayor wanted to have a project going on in City Hall. So he's asked the City Hall commission to, push that off. So it's a conundrum. Where do you go?
Well, I know it's pretty cool though, how from COVID and this hybrid municipal meeting experiences sort of almost like reinvigorated local democracy and encouraged participation at a level that hadn't been seen before. Because it's not like the old town hall days where you pull up the horse and buggy for once a week or once a month and have the meeting now.
Yeah, and this ability to have hybrid will allow, let's say a counselor can't get home and they have childcare duties. Councilor Majota was talking about the fact that he had a sick kid at home. He's got 3 small kids and a sick kid at home. He had to be at home, and he can be a city councilor. That would have been a barrier to a lot of people running. So there's been a lot of great, but they were thinking about using the high school because already the school committee is doing this. School committee is meeting in a hybrid way.
Right.
They together, participants are outside, are kept out, which I don't like. I mean, I would like to be able to sit there. Not that I want to go traveling back and forth, but so they settled on the library, the friend room at the library. It's overseen by the city, and and I think that might be a good compromise. But it's going to be a hybrid meeting. Don't go to the library on May 24th.
Right.
But just know that they will be they'll be meeting in person. I haven't met I've only met 1 or 2 of the counselors in person. It's very weird.
Yeah.
No?
We talked several times in the last year or so just how difficult it was to just govern in the age of COVID at a hyperlocal level. When you're used to just being around your constituents and being part of the neighborhood and pressing the flesh all the time, and it couldn't happen this time around. So
right. And you couldn't really show up. I mean, you could see in a meeting when people showed up and you knew, so, and it does influence how people think about an issue. If you think it's going to be sail right through and people start standing up and saying, no, it's causing flooding in my street, and enough people start saying that, they kind of pull back,
Right.
It can have an effect. And
interesting dynamic. Absolutely. Cool. All right. Well, thanks for that. So what are you working on these days? You're a busy guy today.
Yeah, it gets crazy. I just came from the YMCA. The funding for the 44 senior housing units on Middle Street at the old Cape Ann Y building, that's going to be torn down, and that project's moving ahead. And we got confirmation of that of the John J. Jack Meany senior housing project is going to move forward, named for the former CEO, executive director of the Cape Ann Y. The Secretary of Housing and Community Development was here. Economic Development was here. Mike Keneally was in Gloucester at the Y. A lot of officials. Chris Lavasco was there. Andrew DeFranza of Harbor Light was there. Ann Margaret Ferrante was there. Ted Costa of Senator Tarr's office. And of course, Mayor Verga made some remarks as well. And then from here, I'm going to have I'd like to spend all day. This is great, but I have to go up to the high school. The Lion Wah group is going to give $150,000 to the automotive kids.
This is huge news. That's awesome.
Yeah, $50,000 a year, and then they're going to bring down some supercharged electric vehicles, with the kids. So it's right around the corner. Nothing is far away in Gloucester. It's a wonderful place.
That's great. Yeah.
Very much for letting me come.
Yeah. Well, awesome stuff as always. Those are great stories to chase. We're looking forward to seeing, we'll learn more about that next week with you for sure.
Well, you'll learn more about it tomorrow. Pick up, on Friday. Pick up your next copy of the Gloucester Daily Times. We don't wait till next week. That's our motto.
All right, then I'll call you tomorrow.
Daily.
Same time, same place. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Hey, thanks for your time as always. Great work. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Kory.
Interested in a sponsorship? Email sponsor@1623studios.org to learn more.